Welcome back to the Sold Too Early podcast, episode 88. And we do not have Dave again. Obviously, this will be the last week without Dave, but we do have some fun guests. We have Nick, Mikey, and Lane joining us, all from Sold Too Early. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Good
Thanks for
evening.
having
How's it going?
Are you good, Mikey?
Yeah, I'm good.
No,
Hell yeah, I thought.
I didn't know what you said, but we don't really have too much scheduled to talk about. I mean, we're coming up on the national, we're coming up on football season starting, NBA free agency just happened. So I guess we can just quickly, roughly talk about shows coming up, what each of you guys are going to, what you guys are doing to kind of get ready for them. Whether it's Lane, I know you work for Leighton, and then you two are dealers. So how you kind of differ in getting ready for shows like that? If you guys kind of just want to, maybe Nick, you could start.
So I'd say for myself, it's just trying to get more into basketball right now. I know basketball just ended, but I think that pricing is much more favorable in basketball right now than hopping into football. Even baseball is kind of dead, to be honest. And I just rather prospect basketball. So just moving all that other type of stuff and either having cash to buy basketball stuff or trade for it at some point, but not really looking forward towards buying prospectable quarterbacks. So I'm trying to go more into basketball and move everything else at this point.
That's fair.
That's very nice. Yeah, I mean, buy it when it's the lowest.
Right, and I think there's going to be more opportunities too with all these guys changing teams and contracts, and these lesser name players are going to get more role time.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely.
Mikey, what do you got?
I am the opposite of Nick in that I don't really do a whole lot of newer guys or prospect. So, I mean, I'm pretty low on inventory right now. So, first of all, I'm going to Nashville. Then I'm going to the National, then Burbank. So and then New York City Fanatics Fest. I'll be walking around.
Damn, you're busy.
Yeah, a lot of shows coming up in July and August. It's a busy couple months for shows. But trying to buy a bunch of stuff, honestly. I'm in that weird position where I go to shows to buy a ton. And then, hopefully can recoup some of this inventory that I sold a bunch recently. Trying to find Hall of Famers, autos, stuff like that. The same stuff I've been doing for a decade now,
Lane, how does what are some things maybe people don't really think that you might have to do before a big show working for Leighton rather than just being a dealer?
Yeah, so I mean, it all depends on what show we're technically setting up at, what we're doing at the specific shows. Like in the past, when we would be breaking at the National, it's a totally different setup than when we're going to just set up singles. Right now, we haven't been going to a lot of the big shows. We've been trying to build our local presence, so we've been hitting up local shows, trying to buy at them, trying to cultivate the community, figure out who's really local here, what kind of collectors we have in the area. So that's kind of what we've been focusing on. I know I'm going to be hitting up Tampa the next 2 weekends. They have a bunch of shows going on, and then Jacksonville also has a show going on. So trying to go to more drivable shows, seeing what type of singles are in the area. And then we'll be at the National, and then we'll be at Fanatics Fest.
Nice. What do you guys think about the National? Are you excited, kind of just have to go, need to go, or what were you kind of thinking about it this year?
I think of obviously the National's the National. It's always going to be a good show if you make it a good show. But I feel like of all the years, this has been the one year that if I did miss it, I'm not. But if I were to miss it, I wouldn't be as upset as other years because, think about you have Fanatics Fest, which is, it's going to be a hit or miss. Who knows how it's going to be. But even if you don't go to that, you have Dallas and Nashville and Burbank. You have so many options that, the National, for all its, might, isn't looking as appealing as it was, 2 years ago.
And I'd agree with Mikey, what he just said too. I think collectors, just average collectors might even have a better time at these post-show events and trade nights or whatever. They'll do a better job there than, everybody at their booths. You got only 2 people at a booth. Dealers might be, not incentivized to bring their stuff that they have to watch over the whole time. So maybe the post-show may be even better for collectors there at the National.
That'll be interesting to see as well.
I mean, I feel that's always been the case. Whenever there's a good show, the trade night or the post show, whatever we're calling it, is always usually where more deals, so to speak, take place, or at least the bigger deals I feel take place. Um, you're able to actually communicate. You're able to do one-on-one. It's not any of this like I'm behind a table, you're some guy walking. It's just everyone is just doing cards. And I think that makes it more fun. It makes it more of an even level playing field, so to speak. So I agree. I think that the trade nights are always going to be a huge part of any successful show. But I do think that at the end of the day, it is the National. It's one of the few actual week-long shows that the industry has, which allows for international people to travel in, especially if you have to get visas, things like that. So that's why those shows, the National itself has always been such a successful show, is the fact that everyone's able to actually travel in. However, most people that do travel in and get the visas, it's usually for a month, 2 months. It's not like just for the week of the National. So the fact that you're going to have Burbank, you're going to have Fanatics Fest, you're going to have some other big shows going on after the National and before the National, I kind of might agree with Mikey that it being in Cleveland, if I were to miss it, this would be the one that I'd be like, okay, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, I'm not going to miss it. It's going to be the National. It's going to be super successful. But I do think these other shows are also going to be big.
That's a good point, Lane. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same as you guys. This is the first year where it kind of feels like, if I didn't go to Cleveland, Ohio for the National, like I wouldn't really be that upset, but I'm going and it'll probably be good, like both of you said. But do you guys see a world where if the Fanatic stuff ends up doing well enough to where if they scheduled it the same weekend as the National, you would go to that over the National, or no?
I mean, I'll go to I mean, whatever show's better, honestly. Like I have no loyalty. I don't think anyone on the face of the earth has loyalty to the National. They have loyalty to wherever the money is and wherever the good cards are,
Yeah, I feel like at the end of the day, I work for a business. We're going to go where it makes the most sense for the business. If it makes sense to split the team up and be at both shows, then we'd be at both shows. At the end of the day, just whatever makes the most sense. But I would hope at the end of the day that they're not going to schedule a Fanatic show the same week/weekend as the National, for the simple reason that you don't want to split up the collectors. That would just end up hurting both shows as opposed to helping both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. I know the Fanatics Fest is like the same weekend as the East Coast National, which really shouldn't get that moniker, but it's that's like somewhat of an example, but not an example where you have a large show in the Fanatics Fest and a show that's been around forever, somewhat like the National, but not on that scale, happening on the same weekend, and that would be interesting to see the turnout.
I can't believe that show even still exists, to be very honest.
Yeah.
I think that's where we first met that show.
I know.
Is that like comparable to like a really shitty like Dallas, or like what would that be comparable to?
No, it's like the White Plains card show, but it's like they do it with both floors of the Westchester County Center. So they call it like the East Coast National, and it was kind of like meant to be for the people that couldn't travel out to like Chicago and things like that were used to it being an AC. And so it was just a bigger version of the White Plains card show.
Yeah, and
put it this way.
Like when you could do like RCR, BGS RCR, and people love that. People would travel for that. And now that doesn't even matter at all. Nobody cares. There's nothing.
Oh, that was amazing when we could do RCR.
Oh my gosh. Dude, I mean, I lived 45 minutes away from White Plains, and I still didn't even go to those shows. That's how bad they started getting at the end, towards even 2020.
Well, anything else on shows? Anything you guys on your mind?
Just hit up your local shows. Like, you don't have to travel to these big shows. Traveling can cost a lot between airfare, the hotels, food, things like that. You're looking at usually around $1,000 to actually get out to a show. But do your research. If you literally just Google card shows, there's a whole list of card shows that are in your state. literally every weekend. Use that to your advantage. Go to the local shows, build up the local shows, and start making more deals locally. And then you could buy, sell, trade online as always.
Yeah, I'd agree too with Lane. And for average people, when you go to these larger shows, you're competing with almost anyone has kind of like unlimited type of funds. And if you go to a local show and you just make these relationships with people, not that you have to get a good deal over them, but you can buy their inventory, or they might not have stuff that they put out, and they might have stuff behind, in their Zion case that they didn't put out because it's a local show and they don't really sell, multiple $100s worth of cards. So just making those relationships locally can go a long way.
Yeah, just adding on to what Nick said, I mean, we always like to think that the whole world is Facebook and Instagram too, and social media, and that everyone who collects cards is on there. The amount of people I've met at local shows in Alabama who aren't on Instagram, they're not on Facebook, like they couldn't care less. And they just see you and you're like, hey, I'll buy your inventory. They'd be like, oh my gosh, for a local show, this is amazing. So yeah, I always love going to local shows. It's a great place to find good deals. And even just like you said, build connections with people who you would never meet because they're not on social media.
Not just that, and a lot of times at the local shows, they understand that, like, oh, if I sell it on eBay, I'm going to have to take PayPal fees, eBay fees. I'm going to have to wait for it to clear. I have to ship out the card. Like, they actually understand all of that because it's just a little local show for them. A lot of them, it's more of a hobby than an actual job. So they're okay selling at 75, 80% as opposed to having to go to the big shows where if you're not paying 85, 90, 95%, you're not getting anything.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, switching into some sports talk, NBA free agency open. I don't know if it opened officially, but the tampering period or whatever started a couple of days ago. And I know all four of us have some stuff that's happened with our teams. I don't know who kind of wants to speak their mind first, but whoever wants to could take the floor.
Kill me now.
Mikey, lead us off.
Oh my gosh. Well, the Clippers are a dumpster fire. I had no expectations going into free agency. I was just hoping they'd maybe take this opportunity to realize that the experiment isn't working. The Paul George Kawhi era, adding on decrepit old Hall of Famers isn't going to get you a title. You don't have a LeBron on the team to maybe make that work. So the fact that Paul George left, I've been seeing a lot of memes going around lately. Like, this duo did absolutely nothing, And you especially look at what we gave for Paul George as well. It's just kind of gut wrenching. When you look
have
at
you
what
noticed that you guys are signing all the people who got suspended and did crimes and stuff?
Yeah, that's the Clippers are turning into the retirement home and then the jail as well. So it's. Or people who have been on the team before, I think we just signed Nicholas Batum or something like that.
Yeah,
he left for a couple of years and now is coming back, and for probably a bigger deal too. So I have no expectations this year. I wasn't a big fan of the Kawhi deal when it went down. I don't think it was good for the Clippers. I think they got to completely rebuild. They shot themselves in the foot. They had an opportunity with a bunch of first round picks and Shai, but instead they went and traded that all away for maybe a ring or two. And failed miserably. Lane's looking good, though. Lane's team's looking good.
Yeah, Lane, you were being modest. You guys are looking real good.
I mean, we're young, though. That's one of the biggest issues. I think that combined, our starting rotation has about 15-ish career playoff games, as individual players. So they just need to continue to get experience, and one of them has to develop as an actual consistent number 2 scorer. I believe it could be J-Dub, but we'll see what happens coming into year 3, what he does and if he can stay consistent. I don't know that Chet can be a number 2. I think he can be an amazing number 3, and he could be an amazing player. I just don't know that he could be a consistent number 2 scoring option on a championship contender team. But I really do like the signing of Isaiah. 30 million is a lot of money for a player like him, but I guess if we have the cap space, it fills a major need that we had. And now we have a lot of different depth and a lot of different rotations that we can play with signing him. So I mean, I think that will end up being a top 3 seed in the West again next year. We'll see if we're able to get over the hump and get it to the championship.
Do you think they do a move, maybe not this year, but at some point in the next couple of years, where they kind of go all in on like a superstar to pair with your core?
I mean, I thought they were kind of going to go after PG again and bring him back to OKC, which would have been that. But once they went after and got Caruso, I felt like they weren't going to go after PG anymore. Maybe, but like, what kind of player or who would you recommend as someone that they could or would go after? That's the biggest.
You got like KD, I guess, if they want to trade him. I don't know if that would work like mentally for him, or I don't know how you want to put it, but
that's the biggest thing, is who are you essentially like sacrificing all the picks that you've built up for that you think is going to be a surefire guy that puts you as a championship team?
I was about to say, there's no one even available.
Though, can you?
What?
You can't like feasibly use all the picks.
I mean, no, but you can then trade them and do other stuff. But if you're going to get a guy like KD, you're going to be giving up 4, 5, 6 of them. I mean, Mikal Bridges just got 5 first-round picks.
Don't you have 17?
Something like that, but that's spread out over a bunch of different years.
They probably can do something mid-season. Some team will blow up and some will be disgruntled, and you can get somebody, I would imagine. And plus, they're still under the cap, I believe, so you got that extra money to go with.
I'm glad y'all didn't get Paul George. I don't think that would have been a good fit at all, to be honest. I don't think y'all need a Hall of Fame player. I mean, I think you even need just like you probably just need like a veteran who isn't as like the star player, but just someone who can lead the team, like a Udonis Haslem style.
Well, it'd be kind of crazy.
Hayward, and that was not
good. Imagine if Curry ever asks out. You guys would be like the perfect destination.
I don't think Curry ever asks out. That's the issue.
No way.
I don't know. They're going to be terrible.
Dude, I'm shocked Clay left.
Really bad.
Dude, I'm
you
shocked
wouldn't
Clay
throw
left.
like 8 picks and like one of your solid players for him?
I mean, maybe. I'd rather throw that at like, well, not. I don't think it would cost that much, but I'd rather go after like Trae Young.
Man. I guess I can segue into us trading DeJounte, but I don't know what people really thought we were going to get for him. But I mean, I thought the package was like kind of what I expected to get for him. We're definitely not going to trade Trae Young. I don't think anyone realizes we don't even have our like picks for like the next 3 years, basically. So if we tank, it'd be pointless essentially. So I think they're kind of just doing like an addition by subtraction by getting rid of DeJounte. I guess we'll see what happens. I don't think we're going to be like conference finals or anything, but hopefully playoffs at least.
Yeah, I would imagine you guys are 6 or 7 seed and put the ball in Trey's hand, and Jalen Johnson too.
I love Jalen Johnson.
He's pretty good. He's got the minutes, I think, last year, and
I call him Baby LeBron, but no one likes that.
No.
I'd say for my Celtics,
that.
The Celtics kept everything together. They paid everybody, and 5 years down the line, some new owner is going to come along and have to pay $4, $5, $6 billion, and then pay everybody else. So, got a good window, but it's very pricey.
I mean, yeah, I don't see you guys like falling off at all in the next like 5 years.
No, they're like 7 guys, like probably 6 elite players that could be on an all-star team. And that's what the NBA is going to be. You just fill out your roster with bench fodder, $2 million a season, and pay all the elite players and get to the finals.
Do you think Porzingis comes back close to what he was? Because, I mean, he's having surgery and won't be back at the start of the season.
Yeah, he'll be back like in January, but I'd rather just keep him in like bubble wrap until like a month before playoffs and then get him ramped up for the playoffs.
And Al is getting old. I'm surprised.
Right, he's old.
I thought he was
going to sail off in the sunset.
That's what he should have done, I think. But they need that, every perennial team needs like that veteran guy to just keep everybody level-headed. You can't really put a price on that.
It's funny you say perennial, it's like Tatum's been in the league for 7 years now. Jaylen Brown for 8.
6 of them.
He's still 19.
Exactly.
Still 19.
Well, that's part of like a lot of people aren't thinking about that aspect with the a lot of people are like with the trade the Spurs had on trade night, how they traded away the number 8 pick. Everyone's like, oh, you're trading for a middle schooler. But look at all the championship windows for like NBA superstars. It always starts in year around 7.
Yeah.
Well, 2030, 2031 is year 7 for Wemby. They're banking on the fact that the Timberwolves won't be relevant by then, and Ant-Man's going to want to leave because his contract's up in 2029. So if Ant-Man leaves in 2029, by 2030, 2031, the Timberwolves are going to be drafting very close to the top of the draft.
And that 8th pick this year is like the talent class. That guy probably would have been like in the 20s in like
Right.
normal classes, and you just kick that down the road. You
They
sign
might be playing
Chris
chess.
Paul, and you already got your guy at number 4 or whatever. So you don't need a guy at number 8.
This gets into a good question of, with, Tatum and Brown being like the guys for a long time in the hobby. Are we like, obviously we're putting way too many expectations on new guys coming in, like, oh, Wemby's going to win X number of championships, or, fill in the name player is going to win a championship. If we've shown anything, it's like, when was the last time any of these players have actually won a championship when they've been drafted? Or like as one of the it players,
I mean,
like
football
Kyrie
is-
Irving, I think.
Football, I think, is the only one where it's like actually early on you see individual success where it could lead to championships. Ideally with Mahomes, with having 3 already since 2017. But Burrow already made it to a Super Bowl. Like a lot of these young guys have had success early, but football is a different beast. There is no
Yeah.
G. You get drafted and you either play or you're out of the league. So I think people just need to go back to the pre-COVID times where you actually let players develop, you let cards develop. You would buy a card, and 6 months later is when you might start to look to sell it, not 6 hours later.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, football too, there's no playoff like series, so I mean there's a lot more variance if like teams get lucky and whatnot. So I mean that could play into someone like Burrow. I don't want to say Burrow had a fluky run, but like I mean he's been hurt a couple of times now. I mean the one time he made it, I don't know if he makes it again, like that kind of an instance. And then
For sure.
But
And
And
basketball, it's
there's
like,
Go ahead.
yeah, basketball is like a completely different beast. I can't see any of the rookies that would be. I mean, Luka, obviously, that's like one of the big ones. But other than that, again, how long has Luka been in the league? It's been 6 years now.
Right. Normally, when you're picking at the top of the draft, your team sucks. You don't get that pick kind of, unless you imploded your team or somehow
Yeah.
you're at the top of the draft. It's real tough to get back
Yeah.
to being in the finals or making a championship when you get a top 5 pick.
I feel like that's why football drop off is so much bigger than basketball drop off. But meanwhile, you see players in basketball, not holding their value as much at all.
Yeah.
in the last like 10 years, I mean, has any like potential star first round pick in basketball like won a championship?
I said Kyrie Irving, but he had
Besides
LeBron.
Celtics,
So
sorry.
Yeah, I don't count Kyrie.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
said in the
besides
last 10
Kyrie
years,
and the Celtics, I mean, I don't.
I'm trying to think.
Jokic doesn't really count. I mean, he's a second round pick. I don't count him.
But even still, he was drafted in 2015, 2014, and then he didn't win a championship until nearly a decade later.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that goes back to what Lane was saying. I guess. I mean, most people probably don't really have a chance.
Jokic won his first championship in year, I think it was 8. It takes actual time to develop into being a playoff team, a championship team, especially if you're drafting in the top of the draft. I mean, OKC should have had a championship, but they drafted 3 consecutive years in the top 5 when they drafted KD, then they drafted Westbrook, then they drafted Harden. That was back-to-back-to-back drafts. The Celtics had back-to-back drafts with Tatum and Brown. You have to have back-to-back successful drafts if you're going to do it through the draft, but then it takes time for those players to develop.
We've been so spoiled with LeBron.
Yeah.
That, everyone expects it. Oh yeah, they're just going to come out of high school or college and they're just going to be phenoms.
But even LeBron didn't win his first championship until I think it was either year 6 or year 7. Like even LeBron, it took time for him to develop. Granted, he was still doing LeBron stuff and just absolutely dominating the NBA, but it wasn't until later in his career, so to speak, that he actually won his first ring.
Yeah. You can say the same thing about Tatum, Giannis, and Luka too, though. Dominating the NBA.
Yeah.
Took a while to win a ring if they won a ring.
Yeah, Giannis was like his 8th, 9th year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Same thing.
That's the point.
Dang.
Yeah, so like when you actually sit back and think about it, you can still start investing in these guys early on that you think will develop into this. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to how the actual team develops and what happens with the coaching staff and what happens with the front office, what pieces they move. You can have a Hall of Fame player, but if the team never builds around them, then they're just that Hall of Fame player on that team.
Yeah.
Trae Young. I don't know if you guys have any opinions on it, but what do you think of the Bronny situation? I know, Lane, you have a couple nice cards of him.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the 55th pick in the draft. I'm happy that he got drafted. Honestly, I had hoped that he didn't go to the Lakers. It's awesome that he did go to the Lakers. I'm not a father, so I can't speak on it from that standpoint, but pretty much every post that I saw that was not criticizing the pick was, I'm a father. If I had the opportunity to play a sport with my child, I would give anything to actually be on the field with my child, like at a professional level. So, I mean, congrats to LeBron. He, in my opinion, is my GOAT. So I'm happy that he gets to have this added to his like list of accolades. I hope Bronny can develop. He's signing a fully guaranteed deal, which means he won't be able to do a two-way contract. So even if he gets sent down to the G League, he still takes up a roster spot, which means he'll be on the roster all season. So I hope he's able to get minutes. I hope he's able to develop. He definitely still needs to develop, but I think he can be an NBA player. I don't know if he'll be a superstar or an all-star, but he can definitely be a player in the NBA.
Yeah, I think Lane said it best. I mean, it is the 55th pick. It was done for LeBron, and even like his agents, they called around, said don't draft him. They'll go to Australia. And I think he can like give the team like 5-10 minutes, and scrap time, and it's for LeBron. So I could see why the Lakers did it. And at the end of the day, it's only like a couple $1,000,000, so it doesn't really cost them anything. They were going to just draft someone to either stash or put on a two-way at that point too.
I'm just gonna say, as a new father, I'm gonna posterize the shit out of my daughter. I wish she's go. If she ever, I know it's not the same as having a son, but hoping if she goes to the other team, I'm dunking on her.
Do you guys have what kind of expectations do you have for him if he turns out to be decent, like just a good role player, maybe?
I mean, it depends on what kind of minutes he gets and how he develops. If he can actually develop a consistent three, he could potentially become a starter in the league as a 3-and-D type player. He has that type of potential, I think. But outside of that, I mean, what is that, like a 15-point-per-game type player?
Yeah, I guess. Like a poor man's like Alex Caruso, maybe.
Yeah, something like that is kind of what I could imagine him developing. I think that he definitely has the athleticism to do some crazy stuff in games. I think he's definitely going to surprise some people. He's LeBron's son at the end of the day. He has the genes. He's going to continue to work. He's going to continue. He's also still coming back from a major injury with the heart issue that he had. I mean, he only played in 25 games in college and started, it was either 4 or 6 of them. So he's definitely still recovering. We haven't seen the best of Bronny yet, or even his full potential, in my opinion.
I guess kind of card related to that, if he isn't good or doesn't pan out, or maybe he's just like a end of the rotation sort of guy, like does his cards go to like 0? Do they stay somewhat relevant because he's LeBron's kid? What do you kind of think about that?
I think most people, if they're buying his stuff, I think they kind of already have that expectation that they're not expecting them to light the world on fire unless he goes in summer league and scores 20, 25 a game. I mean, people are just going to be buying him for that value being LeBron's child, but I think most people buying this stuff just know the expectations, or they know the market of LA, that they love their players.
Don't undervalue stupidity in the hobby, Nick.
True.
I bet you I'm going to talk to like 10 people at the National who go like, Bronny's the future. And unironically too.
That is true, because I have seen that he is the most bet player for Rookie of the Year this year.
That's so
dude, like
stupid.
people are gonna be like, dude, did you see what Zion cards got to? Bronny could do that too.
Bronny also is like the 8th best odds to win Rookie of the Year. So it's not just that he's the most bet to win Rookie of the Year, he's also like the 8th like best odds. So like
That's insane.
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I think a lot of people that are buying Bronny cards are either now like it's confirmed that he's a Laker, so it's just Laker fans that are now buying Bronny cards to put with their LeBron cards. Or I think it's just people that are diehard LeBron fans that are now wanting to just collect his son because they're that big of LeBron fans. I think if Jordan's son had made it to the league and actually had cards, it would have had a very similar impact where people are that big of Jordan fans that they would have collected his son's cards as well. I don't want to call it a cult following because I don't think it is quite that, but it is that diehard of a following that, I mean, they literally follow him from team to team, buy new gear, buy new jerseys. Like, they are diehard fans of this specific player. So that's why I think they're buying his son's cards, not so much because of his talent, but more so because of his father.
Anything else NBA kind of related you guys want to hit on? Free agency, upcoming season, trades, anything?
I think that the West got better and worse at the same time because the Nuggets, I think, are still a top 4 team in the West, but they got significantly worse. But I don't think Jokic will let them get below a 4 seed. And I think the East is very, very top heavy with the top 4. That's going to be a dogfight come playoff time. I don't think it's going to be such an easy road to the championship for the Celtics moving forward. You got a team like the Magic, the Pacers, that are kind of that like 5-6-ish seed team that is also going to put up a dogfight, and they're not going to just roll over. So I think the East is going to actually slowly develop into the stronger conference. But right now, top to bottom, I think the West is still stronger, but the East is super, super top heavy.
Yeah, I think Lane summed it up pretty well.
I like the Magic, what they're doing.
I mean, I do too. It's now my hometown team,
Yeah.
But I think that I like the KCP pickup a lot. I think that filled a huge, huge need. But I still think they need a true point guard. So we'll see what happens. I thought that they were going to go hard after Donovan Mitchell, and so him staying in Cleveland is interesting. We'll see what happens with the Garland-Mitchell relationship, and if they fix that or if they end up trading away Garland now.
I could see them if the Hawks end up sucking for another year or two going after Trey. I don't know what.
At what point does Trey leave?
I think if we suck for another year or two, he's gonna ask for a trade probably.
Well, the thing is, like, those, I was reading up on it, those guys, when you get drafted by your team, that team's that can pay you like the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when you get like traded too, like Mitchell did, like he signed that 3-year deal because I guess those rights transfer. So that's kind of why, like, he probably wanted to sign that 3-year because he's going to get to sign a 6-year after that 3, and then probably be one of the most expensive paid players in the NBA.
Yeah, but what's wild is he signed a 3-year 150, and Bam signed a 3-year 166. Like, imagine Bam Adebayo getting $16 million more than Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Like, that's so wild.
Dumb. Dude, the money for some of these players these days that I hear is just absolute insanity.
Yeah, like, and then you look at, like, I'm not saying that they don't deserve the money because of, like, I get it. It's like they have to pay out that amount of money. It's the salary cap. It's things like that. But then you look at, like, what some of, like, these doctors are making and, like, scientists and, like, people that are doing, like, not playing a sport for entertainment. Again, I understand why they're paid all that money because of the contracts and, like, the TV deals and what it is. But, like, you look at some of these other people and it's just, like, it's wild that they're –
I mean, you got Tobias Harris, who's going to make, like, $300 million in his career.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we got rid of him. He was going to ask for a Supermax, and it was one of the few smart things the Clippers did by getting rid of him.
But
I
yeah,
mean, Emmanuel quickly just signed a 5-year, $175 million.
that one was nuts.
Oh my gosh, that's Agent of the Year level award.
I mean, he's like realistically on a good team, he's like a 6th man, right?
6th or 7th, yeah.
Yeah, if that, you know.
He would probably be the 8th man on the rotation for the Celtics right now.
Or if he was back on the Knicks, I mean, he'd probably be like the 8th or 9th guy, right?
Yeah, right now on the Knicks, he would probably be like the 6th or 7th man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But he's the starting point guard for the Raptors.
So fun. Talking about some football, I know that's probably everyone's favorite sport to watch if I had to guess, but just kind of thinking about some predictions. We got about a month and a half, 2 months probably till preseason starts. What do you guys think for Super Bowl MVP, Offensive Rookie of the Year, that kind of stuff?
Offensive Rookie of the Year, I think, is going to be very easy. I think that there should only be one answer, and that it should be pretty much the most heavily bet player, and it's Jaden Daniels winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like, I don't know how you could pick anyone else. People are going to pick Caleb, but there should be no other answer other than Daniels.
Yeah, I think if you know football, you would know that Washington they have players. So I could see Daniels, barring an injury, just being there, like, you know, like a Lamar type. He's got wide receivers. I think didn't they sign Eckler? So
Yep.
they got him. So
Payne.
they
Not
might be a playoff
disagreeing.
team.
Not
And then-
disagreeing with you guys, but don't the Bears have really good receiving core too?
Yeah, but I just think Daniels is better than Williams. The Bears definitely have good receivers.
You just don't like Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily a Caleb Williams hater. I just think that Daniels is better than Williams. If I had the number 1 pick in the draft, I would have taken Daniels over Williams, personally. But
Fair.
Williams should have been – I know why he went number 1, and I'm not saying it's the wrong pick. I would have had him as the number 2 quarterback instead of number 1.
Mikey, do you even like a football team?
Yeah, I'm a huge Charger fan.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because I mask it with my other unlikable traits.
Oh, fair. Yeah, you like the Clippers. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the Clippers I do more publicly. The Chargers, I'm a big Charger fan, but I also don't pretend to know anything about players who have never played a year in the NFL. Like basketball, I'll actually like semi-care about some of the newer guys because they can come in and make direct impact. And I'm not going to say newer guys in football can't. I'd say it's infinitely more challenging to come into football and immediately make a significant impact, especially with the competition level that goes on around the league. So I know Nick and Lane do this way more on prospecting in football, but I don't know. And like McDaniel, or was it McDaniels and Caleb Williams? Like I don't know.
Lane or Mikey, you have a follow-up. So on the other side of the spectrum from me, do you think Phillip Rivers is better than Matt Ryan?
I'm very biased because I'm like the only Charger fan in the world who doesn't like Phillip Rivers because he didn't send my hat.
Oh, really?
Mine. Yeah.
Oh, man. Little Mikey didn't get the autograph.
Damn, I got a whole. Hold up, let me pull it up. Right,
Oh, geez, here we go.
Hold up.
All right,
Sob
while
story
we're
time.
Looking for this. Nick, are you excited for the new era, like having May, all of that?
I don't think they'll probably play him unless he lights the world on fire in training camp. I think he might sit a while because Brissett just going to be average, and we might be again in the top 4. Most likely would be top 4.
I got a hat signed by the entirety of the 2009 Chargers. Every single person except Phillip Rivers. And
Oh, man.
I went backstage and I would say the entirety, but like all the notable players, like I got Vincent Jackson, Darren Sproles, Antonio Gates, like everybody. And Phillip Rivers came out with like his entourage and then like took my pen, signed someone else's thing with it, and then dropped it. And then went to his car and had another kid. And so I don't like him. So
Well, Phil,
I would say Matt Ryan out of spite.
If Philip's watching, we'll have to have him sign your hat for you.
Yeah, Philip, if you're watching, I'll take it. I've had a lot of your autographs. Kind of, making up for it, but I don't have it on the hat. I'm gonna have like a sticker on it. I'm gonna like take one off a card and just put it on there.
What do you guys think about the Falcons drafting Penix from an outside point of view?
That was Penix.
I don't know.
Did you see the horrible error by the media team?
Yes.
When they asked him?
Yeah, they posted a graphic on Instagram that was not spelled correctly.
No, they replaced the X with an S.
Yeah, that was a rough one. It's hard to come back from that.
That's rough.
Someone lost their job with that one.
Yeah, I think it was I don't know if it was a joke or not, but they had a job opening post like the next day for like a social media
I
spot.
would say it was a joke.
Yeah, I don't know, it's pretty funny. But what do you guys actually think about it?
I think
they needed to. Lane, you go.
Yeah, I think that I understand why they did it, but at the same time, I think that you could have. I mean, they created a chain reaction. Once they drafted Penix, every other quarterback was then taken off the board. I think they could have traded back a little bit and brought in more assets and then taken him, because I don't think he was going to be the first QB taken off the board in that situation. I could be very wrong. The situation that played out is what played out. The fact that he's older, he's had 2 major injuries. I would hope that you would have been playing him during his rookie contract if you were going to take him in the first round. But I guess maybe they know something that we don't in terms of Kirk Cousins' rehab with his Achilles. Who knows what's going on there? But at the end of the day, if he does fit for the duration of his rookie contract, horrible pick, horrible, absolutely atrocious pick. If he ends up playing, then good for them. They took the chance, and they have a first-round quarterback that is playing with a lot of big-time weapons.
I was going to say like the same thing too. I mean, they needed a backup, but Penix could also be a starter for some teams. And at 8, definitely is a reach. And then Cousins is coming off that injury, and say he does get hurt, okay, then you did well with the 8th pick, picking him, and hopefully he performs. But when you have other needs on your team and you're picking a guy that's most likely going to sit for a year or two, and you're losing all that rookie contract pay scale type thing, it definitely hurts the rest of your team when you paid Kirk Cousins all that money and he doesn't have nothing, an elite rookie type weapon around him, even though they got Drake London. But I'm sure they could have at least brought somebody in to protect him.
I mean, they could have taken an amazing wide receiver to add to Drake London.
Yeah, Rome was there too, right? He went 9, so he was there at 8.
Right after it. But at the end of the day, who knows? And a lot of people are comparing it to Jordan Love. Jordan Love was the 25th pick.
Yeah.
So
he was also like 21 years old, I think, or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally different situation.
I think I would like it more if he wasn't 25 with like a replacement part in every part of his body. But I think we won't really know until whatever plays out. But we'll see, I guess.
He has a cannon. He's good.
He has a really good arm. But whether or not he can stand is a different question.
Yeah.
Rapid fire Super Bowl predictions. Anyone want to start?
I'll go Chiefs Niners. I'll take
bold prediction.
I'll take the Chiefs. Yeah, it should be another chalk type pick.
Yeah, it kills me to say this, but probably Chiefs Eagles or Chiefs Niners. I think both the Niners and Eagles are dominant and they got better, and the Chiefs are the Chiefs. I think the Texans are going to make noise though. The Texans are going to be scary, and I think it's going to be Texans Chiefs in the championship game for the AFC.
Mikey?
That's tough. I kind of agree with Nick. I think we're going to see a 49ers Chiefs run back, honestly.
It's like the third one in 5 years or something.
You know what? But the thing is, it's entertaining. It's
Yeah.
like it's unlike watching the Cavs, Warriors. It's actually entertaining.
Yeah,
and I think people are kind of starting to turn on Mahomes too. They're like, while nothing has changed, I think about him. It's just that people are hating that he wins.
Right.
It just goes to show, no matter who you are, no matter how likable you are, if you keep winning over and over again, people are not going to like you. There is a correct amount of championships to win. to gain the hearts of
Yeah.
everybody, and it maxes out at 3, and that's it. If you win
Right.
more, people start to hate you.
Yeah.
People get
biased.
jealous.
Yeah,
gonna
they're
have
like, okay, get out of here. We get it. You're good. Leave now. Like, let someone else win.
I'm gonna have a biased pick, and I'm gonna say Texans Falcons.
Oh,
But if we want to go realistic, I'm gonna say Texans 49ers.
You think Texans are going to be that dominant?
Yeah, I'm big on that. I think they just got so much better, and they were already good, and they got experience. I don't know.
I don't disagree. I think we always count out, like everyone kind of undercounts the Chiefs until they start doing Chiefs stuff towards the end of the season.
Yeah,
No, the Chiefs got so much better. They added Hollywood Brown on the outside. Like, I'm not saying that he's comparable to Cheetah, but he's definitely the closest thing Mahomes has had since Cheetah.
Yeah, he's had a weak core, like wide receivers.
And then they just drafted my boy Xavier, who's a legit wide receiver. He can dominate in the slot. They still have good players from last year. They still have Pacheco. They still have Kelsey. Like, there's no reason to sleep on the Chiefs. They got better in the one area that they were weak.
we'll kind of wrap it up with this question. I guess it kind of talks about cards and football in real life, but where do you kind of see the top 5 quarterbacks right now? However you want to value them, however you want to kind of think they're worthy. Like, how do you guys see the top 5?
Are we talking about individual performance, or are we talking about ability to lead their team to success?
However you want to put it. Like, just honestly, like
Are we talking cards? Are we talking we're building a franchise? Are we talking just for next season?
We're talking going into next season. Who would be your top 5 quarterback picks if there was a redraft right now?
With their current teams around them, or just
No, just like their individual abilities.
Okay.
Mahomes is number 1 for me.
Can we all agree on that?
I think everyone can
Yeah.
agree. Like, you're
Okay.
taking Mahomes. So it's really top 4.
Yeah. Top 4.
I know
mean,
this sounds crazy, but like, I'm taking Lamar next.
That was my next as well. Lamar is 2 for me.
I'd go with Lamar, and then I was with either him or Joe Burrow, just barring the injury.
I
See, I'm not
weirdly,
taking
like,
Burrow.
I weirdly take Josh Allen second.
Interesting.
Interesting.
He has so
Okay.
many haters now. I don't get it.
I'm taking Watson over Burrow now, honestly.
Watson. Okay.
Not Watson. Sorry, not Watson. Oh my God, Stroud. Yeah,
I'm
Deshaun
gonna have
Watson.
to
I'm
kick
taking,
Mikey out of this.
yeah, I'm taking Stroud over. Oh my God, I'm taking Texans QB. I'm
So
taking.
you have Stroud at 3.
I have Stroud at 3.
Stroud would be my 3 too.
Burrow is my 3. I think Stroud is my 4.
Me too.
Burrow is my 4.
Yeah, I think Burrow's got to be 4, honestly, for me.
And then I'd go, I guess, Lamar 5. Lamar over Herbert.
My 5 is a toss-up between – this is hard. 5 is hard.
I think 5. I know you. I might get crucified for this, but especially as a Charger fan, not taking Herbert, but I might take Lawrence.
My 5 is either Love or Allen.
Really?
I'd go
I don't
with
even have
Herbert.
Allen in the top 5.
Coach.
Not even close.
Like, what's the Allen hate? I don't get it.
I really like Allen. I'm a huge
I like Allen.
fan. I'm just –
But
don't-
how is he not like a better Lamar with a worse team?
I just think he throws the ball too recklessly and
Yeah.
gets turnovers.
he has the issue that Lamar had earlier in his career that he just hasn't gotten over that yet. Lamar fumbles a lot, but he doesn't throw picks.
Yeah.
I'm taking Lawrence over
Yeah,
Herbert,
Fair.
and I'm
Lawrence
taking.
is getting slept on really hard right now.
Yo,
Lawrence
people,
He's getting slept on.
dude, people are forgetting that. Like, okay, he came in, had a season with the Jags. Obviously, take it with that what you will, but didn't look half bad. People forget how bad the Jags were before he came in, made them not half bad. And then, I think he's one of those players who's going to slowly develop. I don't think he's one of those players who, like, CJ Stroud just coming in and lighting it up immediately. But I think he's heavily slept on. I think this season's going to be really prolific for him. In fact, card-wise, I want to pick up a decent amount of his RPA.
I think I saw a stat that was like his last 2 seasons. I think they went like 9-7 or something. And those were the 2 of the 3 highest like win totals that Jags have had in the last like 12 years or something like
The
that.
Jags are historically horrible.
Like, that's insane.
The Jags are
Honestly,
bad.
he's never been lower card-wise, I don't think.
No, I don't think
Than
so.
what he has now.
Last year was crazy for his market.
Yeah, he's extremely affordable right now.
Yeah, so if like especially compared to some of the other RPAs, like you look at Love, I think a PSA 9 just sold like 14K for a true RPA or something like that last night.
Yeah,
Compare like who are you taking, Love or Lawrence? If anything, you could say they're comparable. And a
I'm
PSA
taking
9.
Love. I'm
Yeah,
taking.
I'm weirdly taking Love too.
A lot of
honestly.
people are taking Love, but you have to say like they're oddly comparable.
What does a Lawrence go for right
Dude,
now?
a Lawrence, let's just say same card for a Love
Yeah.
Lawrence. A Lawrence is probably like 60% of a Love, if I had to guess off the top of my head, or 70%.
Really? So like,
yeah, it
I'm gonna
matters.
check real quick.
like 10K to 14K maybe. Roughly.
I don't even think Lawrence is that much.
Yeah, I don't think anything is like baked into Lawrence like Love is. I mean, Love is just. I mean,
Yeah, I feel
going
like
up.
people are putting Love as winning like 3 rings now.
Dude, Love is so overpriced right now.
He's really good though. I mean, you can't really deny
Right.
it, but
The last T-Law rookie patch auto out of 99, it was a PSA 9 with a 10 auto grade. Sold 21st for $9,600.
So roughly, hold on.
that's like 60%, right?
So yeah, compared to the PSA 9 that just sold for like 13.5 or 14, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah,
A BGS 9 sold for $11,500 literally on eBay yesterday, and then a BGS 8.510 sold for $13,800 on PWCC on June 30th. So I mean,
I don't think
premium for Love, but it's basically the same amount.
interesting.
There's a slight premium because the last Lawrence sale was about 2.5 weeks ago. So if it sold today, it would probably sell for about 11 to 12K versus 2.5 weeks ago. Because you also have the slight national pump where everything gets a little bit more expensive right before the national.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
Gotta send those comps.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to hit on?
Well,
I think that is a good point Lane just brought up, is though that pre-national run up where the month before those comps they kind of get juiced.
It's so real.
Dude, you could make a whole business called Flip My Fleers, and all it is just buy Jordan 1986 Fleer Jordan rookies from like September to like February, and then just flip them like July and August, and that's what it is.
yeah, pretty much. But yeah, just when you're looking at comps, look at the whole spectrum of the comps. Look at the trajectory. Look at what they've done previously. Look at like specifically the like 2-week window leading up to the national, things like that. Don't just look strictly at the last comp. Even if the last comp is low and in your favor, look at all the comps, see what's going on. Do your homework. Don't just buy a card to buy a card. Understand what you're buying. Believe in the cards that you're buying, even if they're $1, $2, $3 cards. Actually have a reason why you're choosing those cards to purchase. I think that this player's market is going to do this. I believe this player might do this. Like, understand why you're buying the card and follow that.
I guess one last really quick rapid fire I'll leave off with you guys is, do you guys have any card or anything you're looking to pick up at these big shows?
I do, but you think you're crazy if you think I'm blasting it out to all your audience right now.
Oh, geez.
No, I'm kidding. I mean, all the stuff I buy is like you could
I
probably.
didn't know if anyone had something like they wanted to like pick up like PC wise that they would only find at one of these big shows.
I think the biggest thing with doing this for so long, and maybe Lane and Nick, you could agree with this, is that like I feel like so few cards kind of like get me like giddy like a schoolboy anymore. Very like I feel like maybe I get 1 or 2 cards a year that I'm like, holy crap, can't believe I bought this. But outside of that, it's the I've owned 5 of these over the course of the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I only have like 2 cards for me. That it would be like the Matt Ryan Contenders 101 and then Willie Hank Aaron co-signers that's slabbed and not raw.
I'm looking for that for you.
Yeah, I mean, I really do want to find one of the Mantle Griffey dual autos. I'd rather get it in a higher grade, and I'd rather try and trade out some of my current collection towards that card. I know it's a random card. Mikey's probably had 85 of them in the last 2 years. But for me, it's a card I've never personally owned, and I would want to get it in my collection. I don't know if I'll keep it forever, but it's one that I would want to own at some point. And then I just picked up a big card, the Luka Mojo auto. Like Nick was saying, I've been wanting to pick up some big basketball cards. I've been moving out. Not that I'm not still picking up Bowman every single day, but I've been moving out of some of my bigger Bowman and trying to move into some bigger basketball cards, and taking a few more risks within the market on some bigger cards, and just seeing how that plays out. Also, don't be afraid to set comps. In the last 3 days, I've personally set the comp on 3 different cards that I've purchased. When I purchased a Jordan Love cracked ice, at that time I set the comp as well, and I've already been offered 2x what I purchased that card for. So if you, again, believe in the cards, believe in the players that you're buying, don't be afraid to set the comp.
What lane? Just curious, because first of all, I do love that point. But what's the high grade on that Mantle rookie? Oh, not Mantle, the Mantle Griffey. What is high grade to you?
I don't know, probably like a 7 or 8 with a 10 auto grade.
Okay.
Like, I don't need a 9 or a 10. Granted, I would love a 9 or a 10, but I don't
think you're finding a 10. That's the thing.
Yeah, is there even a 10?
There's 1 or 2, I think.
But yeah, I don't think a 9 or a 10 is actually within my price range, but I would really like to get a 7 or an 8.
I think there's 2 BGS 9.5s, and that's it.
Which is wild.
That's wild. And they're ugly, though. I don't like them because they all have the BAS on them. It looks gross.
Oh, fair.
Because that card has to go through BAS now, which is really frustrating.
Nick, anything you're after while Mikey's looking that up?
Not really. I just see I don't really look at cards as an investment type thing. So I just view it if I buy something I like it or I buy it for someone else. But I have noticed a big uptick in people wanting 1-of-1 type cards like Black Prism, Superfractors, and those cards I've seen that people they want those. So like Lane says, if you find one, you can set your own comp on cards like that. And that's why people buy those types of cards, because you get it. You can kind of set your own price.
Yeah, I just picked up a 1-of-1 Bo Nix Superfractor from Bowman Chrome U, and it's his first year of Bowman Chrome U. So I agree. I mean, I didn't own a Bowman first Superfractor until very recently, but I've been liking picking up 1-of-1s just for my own collection, or Pop 1 PSA 10s, Pop 1 BGS 10s, things like that you can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, I've been trying to grab because I'm a New England type fan. I'll grab role players, Topps Chrome Gold cards, grade them at some point. That's cool cards. They're not really of value, but just sets like that aren't really produced that are cool. Hall of Fame type players like Ortiz, Ramirez, that's what's fun to me.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
To answer the previous question, there are 68 PSA 8s. Who knows how many with 10 autos? 3 PSA 8.5s, 4 PSA 9s. Again, who knows how many 10 autos? And I don't think any 10s. And actually 6 9.5s. I corrected myself earlier. There's 6 9.5s, which is, again, freaking insane. But I know a couple of the 9.5s do not have 10 autos. I think the biggest thing is finding a 10 auto. I'd much rather have a PSA 9 10 auto than a
I'd rather have a PSA 8 with a 10 auto than a
PSA 10
5 with a 9 or 8 auto.
Yeah, exactly. Then again, a lot of the 10 autos they give out are so subjective on these. They would, if they regraded it today, would easily be 8 or 9s because of the Griffies.
Yeah, you got to see it in person. You actually have to look at the card.
That being said, don't buy this card raw unless you really know what you're looking for. So many of the Griffies are aftermarket.
And and with that, we can bring it to an end with the Card Police, Mikey. Thank you guys for watching episode 88 of the Sold Too Early podcast. Next week, Dave will be back with us. And yeah, thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.